Wonton noodle soup is my all-time favorite soup, and homemade is the best. There are quite a few steps to make the wonton, but the ingredients is really simple to mix together. And today I will show you how to make that delicious homemade wonton noodle soup. Okay, let's get started. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if it's your first time, welcome. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for more delicious homemade recipes. You will need some simple ingredients like ground pork, Napa cabbage, just the leaves, eggs, some shrimp, some raw sesame seed, salt, sugar, some ground pepper, garlics, and green onions. But first, we're going to prepare the chicken broth. In a big pot, you can boil 4.5 liters of water. These bones are from the chicken thighs and chicken leg that I take all the meat out and I save all the bone, and this is about 2 pounds. Once the water is boiling, you could add all those bones in. You can use any chicken bones or mature chicken to make the chicken broth. After you add all the bones, now you could add 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of chicken powder. Stir it up so the flavor go in together and bring it to a boil. Once it is boiling, there will be some scum that are floating on the top. You can skim off the scum that are floating on the top. You can do that for 5 minutes until the broth is clear. So you are boiling for 10 minutes on high heat, and after that you lower it to low heat and cook it for 45 minutes. While we are waiting for the broth to be ready, we can get all the other ingredients ready for our wonton filling. First, we're going to cut up all the topping that we're going to put for the wonton noodle soup. Cut up the green onion, and you are going to save the top part and leave it on the plate. And also cut the rest of the green onions, the leaf part, and separate them and put them in a plate as well. Cilantro, also the second topping for the wonton noodle soup, so you could thinly slice them and then put them in a plate with the green onions. You can slice some limes and put them on the plate as well. I'm saving 1 tablespoon of green onions, and I'm going to use it to put in the wonton filling. And you can save the rest for the topping. These are garlics. You're going to take off the skin and you're going to finely chop the garlics. And make sure that the garlics are finely chopped. And put it together with the green onions and save them on the side. These are Napa cabbage. I'm only using the leaves part. I'm using the Napa cabbage to mix with the ground pork. By mixing the 2 ingredients together, is making the ground pork is more softer and tender. Otherwise, the meat going to taste really tough. It is a good combination to soften the ground pork. It should look like this. After that, you could put them in a plate and leave on the side. These are the veined shrimp with no skin, and you're going to finely chop them and leave them on the side. 1 pound of ground pork, 2 cups of finely chopped Napa cabbage, only the leaves part, 150 grams of fine chopped shrimps. You could always put more shrimp if you want the taste of the shrimp more in your wonton filling. 1 tablespoon of raw sesame seeds, The raw sesame seed, when you eat the wonton, have this crunch that I can't explain, but it tastes really good. Green onion and garlic, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper, and 1 egg so all the ingredients could combine nicely. Mix all the ingredients well together. Mix it until it uniformly combined together, and it should look like this. For this much filling, you will need about 1.5 packages of wonton wrap. These are the only wonton wrap that I use. It's the egg wonton wrap, and you could pick them up at any Asian grocery store. This one is really thin. It's not as thick as the other kind. Lay the wonton wrap on the cutting board. Put about 3/4 teaspoon of wonton filling in the middle of the wonton wrap. These are egg white, so you're going to dab it, and you're going to paint over 2 corners. Again, you're going to use the egg white, and you're going to paint over 2 sides of the wonton wrap. And after that, you're going to fold them over to make it into a triangle shape, and you're going to press it down to the corners, to all the sides, and press it down to seal them. And again, do the same thing, fold it over and press it down to seal all the corners. And now again, you're going to use the egg white. You're going to dip on one side, and you're going to dip it, and you're going to fold it over and fold the other side over and seal them like that. And again, you're going to dip one side of the tip of the triangle, and you're going to fold it over, and you're going to put them together and seal them together. Making wonton could be a really long process if you make it by yourself. Before, when I make the wonton, I used to use my finger to actually paint over the corner, but then after I use the brush to paint all the corner, the speed that I make wonton is so much faster. And with the help of my daughter, every time I make wonton, she always helped me wrap them and seal them together, so it really helped speed up the process. Again, you put the meat in the middle, and then after that you're going to paint the egg white over the 2 corners, and you're going to fold it over into a triangle shapes. And after, you're going to use the egg white, and you're going to dip one side of the triangle, and you're going to fold it over, and you could do the same to all of them. And that is it to making your homemade wonton. Every time we make wontons, we always make a lot and freeze them so we could eat them whenever we like. The way to freeze them is to lay them separately in the tray so they don't get stuck together, and put in the freezer, and after bake them. These are the old wontons that I made a month ago, and it's still good. So as you could see, they freeze nicely and they don't get stuck together. But if you was to freeze the wonton that freshly made and just throw them in a bag, the wonton will get stuck together. And if you want just to cook a handful of wonton, you could take a handful out and cook it and have it for that day. These are some wonton wraps that are leftovers. You could saran wrap them and throw them back in the freezer for next time used. After we finish with the wonton, now the chicken broth are ready. This much broth should feed about 6 to 8 people. You're going to take all the bones out. Place the fine strainer on the top of the empty pot. Place the strainer over the pot, and you're going to pour the broth in. Doing it this way, the broth will be clear and clean for your wonton noodle soup. This next step here is really important. You're going to save some broth in a separate pot so the broth can cool down. This broth here, I'm going to save it for the cooked wonton. I'll show you how in a bit. Okay, these wonton here are the frozen wonton that I made a month ago, so I'm going to put them all in. I'm going to bring it to boil, and after that for about 1 or 2 minutes, and I'm going to take them out. You can put them into the side broth that we saved earlier. This way is to prevent the wonton to get too soft or soggy. If you were to boil and then put it straight to the pot that is boiling, your wonton will get really soft and soggy. So what I like to do every time I'm making a bowl of wonton for my family, I'm going to only take a few wonton and put into the boiling broth. But if you're going to eat the wonton by itself without the noodle, then you could throw them all in. These are the fresh wonton egg noodles. Lightly separate the noodle before you throw into a boiling water. I'm going to show you the package of fresh noodle that I bought from the Chinese store. So it looked like this. So it's say 8 white noodle. In one package, it comes in 6 pieces. While the 8 noodles are cooking, make sure to use thong to kind of separate the noodle, because otherwise the noodle will cook and they clump together. After 1 to 2 minutes, you could strain the noodle and put them in a bowl. These are cilantro and green onions topping. And you will need some fried garlic. Either you buy from the store or you could homemade them. For the white part of the green onions that I saved earlier, I throw them all in just before serving. You want to make sure that the broth is boiling and is really hot, and now you could scoop the wonton and the broth into the noodles, and that's it. And that's it to making the delicious wonton noodle soup. If the broth that you're making is a lot for a couple people, you could always save some broth and freeze it. Sesame seed oil is also a must in the wonton noodle soup. You could put a little bit. And next here I'm going to show you how to make the dipping sauce for the wonton. You're going to need about 1 teaspoon of sriracha sauce, 1 wedge of lime, and about 3/4 spoon of sugar. Mix it well together, and that's it. You got your sauce. It tastes spicy, sour, sweet, just perfect for the wonton. I hope this video is helpful for you to make your perfect wonton noodle soup for you and your family. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share with your family and friends. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel for more delicious homemade recipes. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Before I end this video, I like to show you this wonton that I freeze it for half an hour before I bake them, and it looked like this. It doesn't clump together, it go into a bag nicely. Now you could throw them in the freezer for next time used.